to the Varus, I kind of expected them to lean towards the Lucian army, but deciding that the Varus is the priority for them. We'll see which version of that Varus Hope ends up going for as well.
Munch, I'm going to introduce myself as the Lucian Nami resident hater. Because in the LPL, I've been looking at statistics. I've been a bit of a statistic goblin for Lucian Nami. And I think out of 12 games, it's only won 3 for the past 12 series. So I feel like Lucian Nami is just such a big bait, because Lucian in the current meta, you just have so much frontline where you aren't able to do the damage that you ideally want to, like the 100 to 0, because they're just always up in your face. I mean, the Jhin is going to be the natural response, so we won't be seeing any Lucian and Nami for this game too. God bless. Heimerdinger, the Ashe, still very viable for both sides.
Yeah, kind of surprised to see such a high priority on the Jhin, but you can have that wave clear that's sometimes required to deal with a Varus. As Meteor went for the Wukong once again, it is going to be the Vi to answer that from Heng. And Shanks bringing out that classic Cassiopeia signature.
It does seem like Haichao is going to pick his mid lane response right here. Cassante could also be locked in blind. I mean, you already have the mid lane of Shanks locked in here. I wouldn't be surprised if they just pick mid here and don't need to blind anything for Xiaoxu, especially with his performance on the Gwen from earlier. Very good, LGD. Very, very good. But I'm surprised that Shanks Giga Chad, he just blinded Cassiopeia. He doesn't care anymore.
No, and the Wukong is enough for him to know that they want to try and dive in, and that ultimate is so incredibly valuable in that situation. I'm curious what WE will ban now, whether they do just focus on trying to set Shanks up with a solid matchup, or if they're just comfortable, if Shanks is just comfortable totally blind in the mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these traditional mid laners, something that can outrange the Cassiopeia, perhaps going to get taken off, as you do want the Cassiopeia to be able to at least get a ton of Vs onto the enemy team. I'll be honest, I'm not too sure about the Cassiopeia in this current meta. The Roa does seem very fitting for her with the Seraphs as well, so she does seem like a frontline mage that is able to do a lot of CC, especially with that miasma available. LGD, something like the Wukong already being blinded here, maybe signaling an Ahri for that mid lane.
Certainly could be. Cassante taken off the board by WE though, trying to remove the safe blind pick top laners, because they're going to want to try and find a solid counter pick in that top side for Biubiu. Whether or not they find that is a different question. Biubiu not necessarily been that much of a carry player, very much leaning towards tanks, generally speaking, as this WE squad. Obviously, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, but they like to play around Hope. It's not surprising. Hope, an absolute superstar AD carry. He's like a clear standout on the roster. If I'm WE in this meta, I'm playing around Hope.
Yep, something that did surprise me a little bit is that Lwandy has decided to take up the Nautilus when you have a Heimerdinger. Heimerdinger was introduced into the meta because he is a counter to Nautilus. The Nautilus is never landing a hook from 2 screens away because he just put a little turret in front. Maybe JinJiao not feeling too confident, but a bit of a confusing pick, as you could have just continued narrowing the top lane blind, something like that. The Karma is going to be the natural response, as you just have double poke lanes coming into this game too. So the main focus once again is going to be the mid lane 2v2, as they have a lot of mobility for the side of LGD.
I certainly do. Surprised to see a Karma today. Karma was not necessarily a champion I was looking at coming into today, but certainly works with the Varus. As Xiaoxu just going to go with the Gwen again. Happy with that matchup, happy with the way it went in the previous game. Still wants to play that carry from the top side. So quite a lot of magic damage on the side of LGD. It has to be said, like, it may be lacking a bit in physical damage when it comes to just the Wukong and the Jhin. Not exactly massive damage carries themselves.
That's a great point, because you have to think who is going to be killing Biubiu when the items do come online. It's going to be extremely tough, as Jhin with the current build, he is just going to go something like the Gale Force, and he doesn't have the damage to deal with the front line of WE. Once again, a very traditional front-to-back composition coming into this game too. Hopefully we do see a little bit more urgency when it...
Haichao trying to answer it with an Ahri in the mid lane. We'll see how it's going to work out, as WE customarily going to charge 5 players down to the bottom lane to make sure JinJiao cannot set up those turrets.
Run away, little JinJiao. There's 5 people in this bottom lane. Sack the tower. Oh my god, this is so scary. At least he gets... Does he even get Spell Thief proc? We can't really check with the gold. But both draws coming to this game too. Very wacky to say the least. I mean, LGD having double AP solo laners. Biubiu is going to do a lot to this game in terms of how he's going to act as that frontline for WE. Even Heng, we saw him having a pretty good early game in game 1, but just tiny mistakes of overextending and sometimes overforcing allowed LGT to come back into the game. So hopefully we don't see those mistakes repeat themselves.
Hopefully not, but, you know, time will tell. As I hope going to go for the lethality build, and understandably so, against such a squishy composition here. Shanks moving down to make sure there's no kind of late invades towards that red buff as Heng starting on the top side. Meteor starting on the top side. And, I mean, Kitty, what are you expecting here in the early game? Are we going to see the kind of slow first 10 minutes that we saw in the previous one? Because these drafts... they don't scream massive amounts of proactivity to me.
Not too much, but with the urgency from the Ahri and Wukong getting locked in from the side of LGD for this game too, I am expecting a lot of skirmishing power, especially with the Heimerdinger and Jhin combo for this bottom lane. Still relatively good setup. WE this time around, they really need to play up Hope's Varus ultimate to have those guaranteed CC setup. I mean, even Hung on this Vi, something that you need to keep in mind later on in the game. So if LGD is able to force something before level 6, I think LGD can gain their early advantage that they are looking for.
Okay, looking for before level 6. Whether or not that's going to happen, we'll have to wait and see as the junglers moving towards the bottom side. You can see, though, Hung has actually skipped his Gromp to move straight down to that red buff. So perhaps could try and make some kind of early play off of a timing here. As WE trying to find priority in this bottom side. The turret's going to make things a little bit more difficult. But Hung not going for an early gank. Instead, going straight into the enemy jungle. He's looking for Meteor. Drops a ward. Doesn't look like he'll actually follow this up, at least for the time being. He's waiting. He's seen Meteor now. This could be a huge opportunity. Hung was spotted, though. I'm pretty sure Meteor just saw him. Meteor just going to take a couple of hits, trade it straight on back. Meteor is outright losing this fight right now, but he's sticking with the 1v1. What is happening on my screen right now? Hung can flash for this one and finish first blood. I mean, why did you commit to that?
Maybe he thought he could win, but up against Vi, who does have her W available, every 3 autos is just so much damage. And unfortunately, the monkey falls as LGD also getting pressured in, and also the mid lane. So you realistically didn't have anyone rotating to that fight. So Meteor just maybe underestimating the damage from Hung. But the same aggressiveness continuing into this game 1. Hopefully we don't see this first blood lead get thrown over once again.
Yeah, hopefully not, but Hung, great little start for himself. Goes for the aggressive invade, knows that the bottom lane cannot move on over, and finds himself a 1-for-1 with a flash for flash as well. So Meteor will struggle to have any significant impact in these lanes. I say that, he's going to make an attempt up towards this top side. Control ward comes on in. Biubiu should be able to walk away, though.
It's so hard without that red buff, especially when you are trying to look for a gank onto Biubiu, as you don't have any hard CC to lock down the Sion, or even any slows, to be fair. So not too sure what Meteor was trying to look for there, because you already burnt the flash from the 1v1 earlier on. I mean, Hung having that longsword, even Ruby Crystal and the boots, we know once he gets his items online, he is not afraid of stopping, and we will see this snowball into perhaps even a mid lane 2v2 soon.
Yeah, Hung has found Meteor once again. This time Meteor not interested in going for that fight, but Hung not going to overcommit either. I think actually wanting the chickens there, but will be spotted on the ward. So I think Meteor will have full information of where Hung is currently doing those wolves. But Hung still has his whole bottom side up, so both junglers should be pathing downwards. Perhaps could lead to something happening either around this Drake or around the bottom lane.
You know what's crazy to me? The wards in this early game has spotted Hung every single time, but I guess the first blood just went in the ways of WE. But just doing an item checkup, Hope does have that serrated dirt compared to only the Swifties in LPC's hands. So if we do get some aggressive plays coming in very soon, it does seem like WE is more than happy to take it.
It looks like LGD are happy to take some fights here as well, but Hope managing to dodge that route. And we'll just trade a bit of damage back and forth. Heng trying to move on over, though. Lwandy with a slow onto Meteor, who could jump over that wall if he needs to. That means the Heng won't go for anything here. Drake up on the map, but both teams a little cautious to go for it. A level advantage for Heng as he finds Meteor. Meteor hasn't seen him, but just blast cones out. Instead, playing towards this bottom side as LPC. JinJiao really feeling the pressure in this bottom lane. It's difficult for them to push up with Heng in the area.
Level 6s are coming online as Lwandy engaging, forcing a flash.
Yeah, flash forced out. Hope here is Heng looking for Meteor once again. And just trying to fight, trying to deny these turrets, trying to fight for river control, but it feels so difficult against this Heimerdinger.
Yeah, it is really difficult. I mean, both mid laners are trying to make their way down as well, but you are just depending on your Wukong. Just look at the first items of both Haichao and LBC. Tier 2 boots, Lucidity and Swifty, so not too much damage for this early dragon. It does seem like WE, if they do force a 4v4, they'll come out on top.
You'd certainly hope so. Depends on picks, though. Meteor could be the target. Clones back towards Shanks here. Gets the stun, though. The poison is down, and Meteor will fall. Lwandy flashing out to safety as Haichao desperately trying to finish it off. Shanks flashes over, but misses the poison. 1 for 0 as Hope denies entry to JinJiao, and W will start the Drake.
God, that Cassiopeia ultimate was so beautiful onto Meteor. Getting him stunned first and then putting down the miasma where he wasn't able to W over the wall. Not having the flash available in that specific skirmish just means an extra kill into the pocket of the mid laner of WE. Not a dragon, however. I was expecting maybe something more, but someone was extremely low as a result of this fight. So you get another look at this as LGD JinJiao does make it there first, but Shanks with this angle onto the ultimate as Meteor walked backwards, got the stun onto the monkey, and with the miasma being placed as well, WE does seem like they are more coordinated in this specific fight as the rest were extremely far behind. And Haichao unlucky with the kill into Lwandy as he was going to get another reset, but just a little bit short in terms of damage.
Yeah, Shanks feeling like he could get one more snake bite in there, but Haichao just able to get out of line of sight, and it means Shanks doesn't get that second kill. But Shanks already off to a great start on the Cassiopeia, right? Like we said before, a signature pick for him. I remember when Shanks first came into the league, he's always been on WE when it comes to the actual LPL itself. But I remember him being in the LDL, getting this big, it was either a quadra or a penta on Cassiopeia, and that was kind of the big clip that everyone was tweeting, that everyone was talking about when Shanks joined this roster to try and replace Teachamar. It feels like these control mages have been somewhat his bread and butter, but the Cassiopeia still always one he's happy to come back to. Even when it's not meta, it's always been comfort for him.
Yeah, with just that ultimate being placed down does show his expertise on this Cassiopeia and how comfortable he is coming to this game too, blinding it up against Haichao as he is just consistently getting that mid lane priority, once again letting Heng do whatever he wants on this map. But something that has been also catching my eye is the tier in LPC's hand. I believe he is one of the only Jins that we have in the LPL that does go the Manamune build, as you just save a little bit of that mana when it does come to the bottom lane trades, as Hope is that lethality Varus for this game too.
Yeah, and you certainly spam your abilities on Jhin. Certainly stack. It's just whether or not it's optimal. Heng moving up though. There's a 3v3 for the Herald on this top side. Biubiu very low on HP, and I think WE realizing that it's not actually a Herald that they can fight right now. Wasn't sure if that was going to reset for a second, but LGD keep it under control and will find themselves a Herald to start this one off. So good stuff from Xiaoxu, winning out that top lane matchup, having priority there, having the health advantage there. Oh, I thought he was going to go for that one then.
He's bullying him.
He might deny the eye. Shanks is here too. No, okay. Meteor gets it. Haichao and Xiaoxu were both moving over.
God, I can't ever read Heng's mind. He's just such a chaotic jungler to spectate as a viewer, but W securing that first dragon in the first 10 minutes does mean they had to give up the priority for this Herald, which is naturally going to fall into the hands of LGD. I'm expecting this Herald to be dropped into the bottom lane, however, just to open up the map so the Heimerdinger and the Jhin can rotate around and then help out in terms of lane priority. We'll have to see what Meteor does.
LPC manages to crash a wave in the bottom side here. And So far, so good for WE. They do have those 2 kills, but ultimately, not a significant gold lead. And like you say, we'll be keeping our eyes on Meteor and where that Herald goes. The Herald probably just equalizes the gold at this point, assuming that you manage to find 2 plates off the back of it, assuming one of your laners can set up for that. I mean, is there a conversation to go up towards that top side, set up the Herald for Xiaoxu? Because I feel like Gwen, getting a bunch of plates, if you can go for a dive onto the Sion, you could potentially take a tower.
Yeah, most definitely. But Meteor hasn't been hovering the top side whatsoever in this early game, as Heng and Lwandy looking at this blue again.
Yeah, they are not going to let Meteor get a blue buff this game. Not a chance. Heng moving in to try and start the buff off. JinJiao, big chunk taken, but Chain of Corruption goes wide, and Hope is out of mana right now. And that surely means WE have to back away.
Yep, Hope realistically being the only setup when it comes to the bot lane 3v3. They are going to back off as he did miss that ultimate. But Meteor getting bullied in this early game on the Wukong. 0-2 already. They are looking for that 3rd kill onto him, as JinJiao just has so much vision set up in this bottom side river.
Certainly does. LPC going to crash this wave. Hope, I think, just about has enough mana to clear the wave at very least, get a Q off. As Biubiu, he's given up on actually laning. He's just going to start proxying. He's just walked past the tower now to deny any potential tower damage that Xiaoxu will be able to get for himself, as he knows nobody's up on this top side. He knows he's safe to just walk wherever he pleases. You know what? Why not? Let's take some crooks as well. Biubiu, he's taking the whole top side.
Have you seen that game from Team Heretics versus BDS? I believe it was Adams on Sion. It is one of the most crazy Sion performances I've seen in the entire my entire career of being involved in the esports scene. You should really check that VOD. It was absolute nutcase of a plan going into the early game. Very entertaining to say the least as well. But I think Sions, they need to be creative. They also need to just sack themselves sometimes to utilize that passive as well. You never want to have a good KD on Sion.
It's true. I mean, Biu's certainly showing that off. I mean, here in the LPL, we love a death passive. Jackie Love famously saying in an interview, which nobody really knows whether he was joking or not, but saying how, as Cogmore, you really do want to get in the thick of the fight because you need to be able to utilize your passive, which it's very, very difficult to tell whether Jackie Love is joking in that interview, honestly. LGD, though, focused on the bottom side. 40 seconds until this Drake comes up. Feels like Hope has just been abandoned in this bottom lane. He's just here clearing waves. Lwandy's out helping the rest of the team.
Yep, I mean, I'm more than happy for Hope to get solo XP in this bottom lane, as LGD, they don't have amazing kill threat unless JinJiao lands a grenade from half a screen away. So Hope is going to also kill the Herald off, as the Herald will get dropped towards this bottom lane. Heng is trying to regain vision for this dragon, as Meteor did reset earlier, but he did obtain the Scuttle Crab before backing.
Certainly did. I feel like Heng is desperate to find pressure in this bot side jungle, but it's not really been happening. Oh, wow, he does have a stopwatch. It's a extremely early stopwatch. Is that from his runes? It must be, right?
It has to be. Why would you buy a stopwatch at 14 minutes? The economy is already so low. We already see Biubiu rotating here. He really does not want to have anything to do with the Gwen.
Unless he's just going GA second item, it's certainly possible on a Vi. As Heng starting this dragon off, TP behind enemy lines. Hope is in big trouble here. Flash away from Xiaoxu as Meteor knocked up by Heng, and the rest of the squad trying to pile in. Shanks is tearing them asunder. Shanks with massive damage over the wall as well. And Haichao can answer the orbit deception. Not enough. And Heng here on the backside. Lwandy, Biubiu, the whole gang trying to finish the Gwen off. 4 kills already in this fight, but there's no damage left on the squad. The root comes on in.
He's immune.
The bit of poison will finally be there from Shanks. No, Shanks goes down. Oh, God. It's a comedy of errors. But WE will get the Drake.
They got the dragon. Shanks landed a huge ultimate going into that fight, but Xiaoxu, playing with the CDs, did manage to shut down the Cassiopeia, but an overall winning fight for the side of WE, securing the second dragon as well, looking a lot better compared to that game 1. We see the TP coming out of Xiaoxu, cutting off the bottom lane of WE, where they force out both flashes as well. But I guess they were so focused on killing Hope and Lwandy here, they forgot that Shanks was coming into the fight, and flash ulti miasma, 2 people got instantly deleted. And LPC and Haichao, because they rushed their boots first, they don't have the damage online just quite yet, so they're really struggling to finish anyone off, where it realistically was only up to Xiaoxu. But with your entire team dead, I mean, it was pretty sad to see. He was able to get a return kill onto Shanks, however.
Yeah, the fact that he's able to get 1 kill there is... he should not have been able to get away with that one. But regardless, the Gwen getting a little bit big up on that top side, but it is going to be on Gwen's shoulders now. 7-2 on the scoreboard, a sizable lead for WE. Looks like they're interested in dealing with this Gwen as well, as Heng moves up to the top side and Shanks there to clear the wave. Herald can be started here as WE have 5 players on the top side of the map. Whereas Haichao down in that bottom lane does have TP and immediately pops it.
No flash onto Shanks, so if they get their hands onto this Cassiopeia, could be huge with Everfrost.
Oh, trying to find the stun, but they won't get it. Miasma, though, keeps him in play. Haichao over the wall, keeps
Biubiu
himself alive. 4K on the Herald. Biubiu with the knockups and the huge play, setting up for WE. JinJiao waddles away with his life, but that's all he'll have as the Herald goes to WE.
Every time we see a 5v5 fight, it just seems like LGD is completely locking out a member out of WE. They forgot that Biubiu was a Sion, and he just got his ultimate onto the backline of LGD, where it was a 0-for-2 trade. Herald also in the hands of the side of WE as well. I mean, these fights are going so terrible, and 0-4-0-4 Meteor. I mean, a very harsh start to start everything off, but he isn't able to find angles to come back through team fights.
A really tough one. Shanks gets tier 1 in the top side as well. I wasn't sure if we were going to see WE try and brute force a tier 2 there. It would have been risky, that's for sure. Everyone was coming out of the base from LGD, but it looked like they were posturing for it. So 2 towers taken off the back of the Herald. Haichao, great presence of mind to turn around there on the ultimate.
Yeah, the ultimate locking down Haichao, where he is forced to just dash out, but Biubiu comes in from the back and just CCs everyone. Hope also connecting with that ultimate as well. This fight was so unwinnable, and a very big turn of events for LGD, as they thought they got a pick onto Shanks.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Biubiu was actually looking for those 2, if he was looking for JinJiao.
He missed.
JinJiao very nearly got hit by that side ultimate. yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not even an analyst. I'm just results-based. 4K gold lead, though, for WE. So, great little start to this one for them. And LGD now, they've got to get creative. We talked about getting creative in the previous game. They certainly did with the road warp at the end of it. Can they find another creative way back into a game, though? Because with this Ahri, this Wukong, even the Jhin, it feels like this is not a composition that's going to get stronger later in the game.
I'm gonna be real with you, Munch. I think JinJiao on this Heimerdinger having the Rylai's as that first item could perhaps out-damage one of the 3 that isn't Gwen. I have a really sus feeling about this, because I set up the mid-jungle duo to be the key to success for both sides of these of this second game, and it really just seems like Shanks and Heng with these comfort champions are really popping off as Shanks on this Cassiopeia. I mean, I know why. It is his iconic pick now.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like every single time we see the Cassiopeia from Shanks this split, he's absolutely... he just finds so much value in the fights, right? It's not just about his positioning in the DPS, it's the ultimates that comes out, but like knowing when to use the miasma to get real value out of that ability. Quite often you see the Cassiopeias kind of just blast it out so that they can spam their E, but I feel like Shanks always using it to deny a flash, to deny an escape from someone.
And the worst thing is, if you take a look at WE's build composition for that top side, 2 Merc Treads, a Banshee's Veil for Shanks, and even Lwandy working towards that Mikhail's, a bit of MR for everyone. You take a bit of MR, you have a bit of MR. Because this Gwen, you can't find those angles.
JinJiao doesn't have enough MR. The Shanks Twin Fangs is there, and the flash from Heng to finish the job. It's a pick right before Drake. And it's WE getting themselves to Soul Point.
how do you even start these fights anymore? Your only frontline is Meteor on the Wukong, and he's 0-4-0. Only having the Sunderers, he's extremely squishy right now. All they can do is try and gain some vision in this top side, but Biubiu perhaps even forcing him off this Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, Scuttle Crab will be taken at the end by Meteor. Biubiu not quite able to deny it, but Meteor struggling in this game, it has to be said. As WE, a fantastic performance coming out from the squad, and much needed after game number 1, right? We saw, oh, hang on, Cyclone.
Lwandy.
It's going to be a pick onto Lwandy. Happened off screen as Hope now. Caught by the curtain call. The fourth shot not quite going to land as the heal comes out from Shanks, but it's too late. It's a miracle for LGD as they find these picks out of nowhere. Shanks with a big ulti, but he's alone. It's not enough just to find a stun. The rest of the team jumps on board. 3 picks here for LGD, and Baron is on the map.
That's Baron for LGD. We have no idea how Lwandy died in the jungle, but even Hope overstepping in this mid lane, and LPC catches this and activates the ultimate extremely fast. As WE, they were just alone in the mid lane, not having the Cassiopeia there first, and even Biubiu was a little bit late to the fight. I think Heng, I mean, he has the stopwatch, he has the Q. Can he steal it?
He's spotted out Haichao trying to threaten him. He gets into the pit 2k on the Baron, but it's not going to be bursted. It's not going to be loaded up. Oh, it is! Heng, how does he find that? LGD just needed to stop doing damage. Wait a second, are WE going to win the fight as well? Lwandy's here, Biubiu tanking up. TP's coming on through. As look, Hope moving into the players. Oh, Meteor's going to go down here surely as Biubiu tanks it up. Hope gets the kill with a Q. WE had no right to be a part of this play, but they find everything.
This game is playing with my emotions right now. WE just threw everything away, but Heng having an amazing game 2 seals the Baron away and stops LGD from coming back into this game. 1-5 on the Wukong now. I mean, with this Baron, they're just gonna slowly suffocate the side of LGD on the map.
Now resets come through. We have a moment for a breather, and we can take a look at what happened to Lwandy to start this massive sequence of play.
Yeah, he does get spotted out by Meteor, and he just engages straight away, getting soloed by the monkey, and then now getting caught out from LPC on this Jhin, forcing the flash as well. But Haichao with the gap closer from Ahri, also being able to pick up the bottom lane of WE, and Shanks, I mean, could have just been a play where your bottom lane dies. A bit of a miscommunication from WE where Shanks also falls as a result, but it don't matter because as long as Heng is alive, this Baron is still a 50-50 flip, and he is so tanky. I mean, just kill the Vi here, but they don't have the damage. Haichao wrapped around in a loop, and he was in the back. He wasn't even in the fight.
It's so messy. It is so messy, but LGD picked apart WE, finding their moment. And I came into today saying Biubiu is the weak link on WE. Biubiu's the one that's been struggling in laning phases. Biubiu. But look at his scoreline. 3-0-7 on the Sion. Both games he's been able to have an impact. Both games managing to find his mark. And now especially in the second game, the ult in the previous fight, threatening everyone in the Baron pit. And now pushing up to try and take an inhib in this bottom side with the rest of his team. The Wave's not in a great spot to threaten any further inhibs though.
Yeah, I'm surprised that no one was really starting to push that mid wave, as they perhaps could have gotten 2. The dragon is going to be spawning in 1 minute, but we just need to take a look at the item advantage that WE has right now. A 10k gold lead, or nearing a 10k gold lead. The Mikhail's also picked up 4 Lwandy, so those picks in mid lane onto Hope won't happen for the rest of the game. Banshee's also in the hands of Shanks. I mean, we have double solo AP laners for LGD and a Jhin. So this is going to be really tough to kill this Cassiopeia unless you get another pick from previous.
Yeah, they need to reenact the miracle that they found earlier on. That's not something that happens in many games. Double miracles back to back. Shanks now looking for the blue buff as Heng finds a pick onto JinJiao. Actually, good flash over the wall though. Keeps himself alive. But Drake coming up in 20 seconds. This is Soul for WE. LGD, it is now or never.
I'm surprised that Shanks didn't just pop the miasma down and stop the flash. TPs are coming out of the laners of LGD as they do need to fight this. It's Dragon Soul for WE.
Meteor knocked up. Shanks there stops the movement. We'll get his clone out. Biubiu charmed, but no follow-up from LGD. They're trying to get into the river through this bottom lane, but Meteor already chunked out to half. Hope's just going to start the dragon off. This is tough for LGD. They need to get their way into this river, but feels like Biubiu is a brick wall, and Shanks' ultimate is so terrifying that the Drake is just going to be taken here. Meteor over the wall. No, doesn't even get over the wall. JinJiao knocked off by Biubiu, taken down. Meteor onto the back line, but he's alone as Shanks triple ult here. Shanks, massive shield from the Seraphs as well. There's nothing LGD can do. The game is over.
The game is over, and WE brings it back to a 1-1 series. Very tough game for LGD, but I think in the very end, it is all up to the draft. And they really gave themselves a handicap with how they decided to opt into this game too. And this is the result, as we need to go back into the thinking boards once again, as game 3 is on the plates now.
Everyone charging forward should be able to just finish this one off. Haichao and JinJiao, last-ditch effort on defending this Nexus, but 2v5, it ain't happening. Meteor moves in as well, but the Nexus is bare. And it will just be WE trying to find a couple of bonus kills. Meteor jumping in onto Hope, but won't finish the job off. WE pushes to 3 games and show us that they cannot be taken out of the conversation just yet.
Heng can either be your angel or your devil, and this game too, we high rolled. We got Heng the angel as he was able to just get the tempo rolling early, and having Shanks on this Cassiopeia pick, having these choke points and just making every single team fight go into the hands of WE, and they were able to snowball so amazingly. But obviously that one mess up in mid lane that occurred for the bottom lane getting caught out, they were still able to come back. It doesn't matter because Heng, he was just in his top form for this game too.
Yeah, felt like Heng absolutely everywhere that he needed to be. And honestly, the whole squad from WE managing to win out in these scraps. Shanks, absolute phenomenal ultimate in that early dragon fight that really set the team up to take over. And I just want to mention something. I was having a little look during that previous game. What Shanks' Cassiopeia stats actually are. The man has 11 games on Cassiopeia in his career in professional play. He's won 9 of them. He is 9-2 on Cassiopeia all time. That is absurd, with like a 10 KDA or something probably. Absolutely mental stuff coming out from Shanks, showing that you really have to respect this Cassiopeia pick. You just can't ignore it anymore.
Yeah, you can't really ignore it, and Meteor definitely won't ignore it for the game 3. But even with how LGD decided to respond into the Cassiopeia, I think the Ahri didn't do too much, but Haichao opted into that matchup because it was just an overall good synergy with Meteor on the Wukong. But if your jungle is so far behind, well, you won't really be able to make things happen around the map, and we saw that really affect the early game of LGD coming into this game too. And I want to also mention JinJiao. He did out-damage the mid-jungle of this game. Oh no.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one for Meteor and Haichao. JinJiao just slamming those turrets down. Like you said, the early Rylai's able to help him get that damage up. And I mean, across the whole board, fairly even damage numbers across both teams, honestly. But it's not about how much damage you do. It's about when you do it and to whom. And in 27 minutes, WE managing to find themselves this win. And a great game across the board. Great game from Lwandy, actually. 2-1 of 14 on the Karma.
Yeah, something that caught me off guard is that Biubiu ended up doing more damage than Xiaoxu on this Gwen. And considering how the laning went, we saw that Biubiu was consistently getting pushed under tower and he was getting forced out of lane. But it doesn't matter because, like you said, Biubiu having an amazing series for tonight.
Yeah, fantastic stuff coming out from Biubiu. We're going to jump into a break and then we will decide this potentially